Yo, 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 what up? It's your boy I Sleep Too Late, and in this video, we are speed running our way through Battle Tower with Deoxys-Speed. So let's go ahead and get started here. We're going to lead with Sheer Cold. This is your classic No Guard Sheer Cold Deoxys-Speed. We're going to basically one-shot everything that doesn't have Sturdy. And the goal here is very simple. Just try to get through the Battle Tower as quickly as possible. So first KO with Grand Bull, second KO with Kangaskhan. This should be pretty straightforward. The other thing about these Battle Tower battles is that there's only 3 Pokemon you have to beat. So, you know, Sheer Cold with APP is not going to be much of a problem. Even with, 3 Pokemon with Focus Sash, you're still going to use up at most 6 of your PP. The only problem, obviously, is against things like Sturdy, which don't behave like a Focus Sash in Gen 4. In fact, Sturdy basically prevents you from using 1-8 KO attacks. So that's a very interesting feature about the mechanic that people tend to forget about. People think, oh, Sturdy Shedinja in Gen 5. But Sturdy actually did exist in the previous generations, but did not behave like a Focus Sash. And we are facing off against opponent number 2. The goal here is to press A as little as possible, even though we like to spam A. Let's go ahead and use Sheer Cold. Oh, pressure is the other thing that could get in the way of using your PP. Like if you had, I guess if you had 3 Pokemon with Focus Sash and each of them had pressure, that could be a problem because that would end up being like 12 PP, I guess. But I don't think it's ever gonna come to that. Oh wow, this is also another Pokemon with pressure though, which is kind of funny. Yeah, I guess if every Pokemon had pressure and Focus Sash, that would be like a counter to Sheer Cold, I guess. But there's not a whole lot that really stops you. And yeah, Salamence is not going to do the trick here. The other beauty about Deoxys-Speed is you don't really care too much about its stats. Unless, of course, you were using like Inferno, Zap Cannon. You rarely have to use those. In fact, I think the ideal Deoxys moveset would probably be like Fissure, Sheer Cold, Guillotine. Like, oh, you gotta be careful, right? Because you gotta find answers to things with. You gotta find an answer to Sturdy with your other move slots. Alright, let's go ahead and see how far we can get here. So far, we've only had to use one move of Pokemon, which is great. We're gonna go ahead and use Sheer Cold here. Should be pretty easy. I've actually thought about other ideas for like No Guard Sheer Cold. Like obviously Deoxys-Speed is the best user of it, but imagine a universe where you use it on like a Mewtwo, for example, and you like I've actually thought about this in like gens 7 or 6. Like you have Mega Mewtwo Y and you give it No Guard, right? And so it still has like pretty decent speed, so it can pretty much still use Sheer Cold on most things and outspeed them. But you also have the bonus of having a high special attack and therefore the ability to use like regular attacks in case things like Sturdy get in the way of your regular usage. So you kind of have like 2 things going, and if you have something that like stops your plan A, then you can fall back on your plan B is the idea. And I think that might be a really fun idea for like a future video. But obviously we have to get through, we got to feature Sheer Cold, No Guard, Deoxys-Speed at some point, right? Because that's just like the best thing. Probably one of the top sets, I would say. Obviously in Gen 8 or 9, it becomes Regigigas that you have to basically outclasses Deoxys-Speed. But yeah, Sheer Cold all the way. And some people, some Pokemon's HP moves a lot slower than others because they just happen to have way more HP. Ooh, our first. Okay, this is it. Our first thing that stops us. I guess we just use Dynamic Punch here. Yeah, because we all know that Fortress has Sturdy. So the goal here is to try to get rid of Fortress as soon as possible. And just to show you that it doesn't work, yeah, Sturdy protects you from when a KO moves. At least it's hurting itself in confusion, which is nice. But I just wanted to use up a 1 KO move to demonstrate that to you, just so you were aware that that was the situation. Double Edge. Oof. Well, it doesn't have very high attack, so this shouldn't do too much. And it gets recoil damage, which is nice. Alright. Well, this should do the trick. There we go. Our first... Not even thing that stopped Deoxys-Speed, but like our first little bump in the road. And yeah, it is a very interesting Pokemon nonetheless. But there you go, Deoxys-Speed. KOing for Alligator. And moving on to the next opponent. Opponent number 5. All right. Here we go. Facing off against Policeman Keegan. Ooh, Empoleon. Very nice. So one thing about No Guard Sheer Cold is that in later generations, Ice Pokemon are kind of immune to Sheer Cold. So it's kind of interesting because you end up having things like Articuno becoming very viable in these later generations because it's immune to Sheer Cold and it's also immune to Fissure, obviously. And so you have Articuno, which is just very interesting because it's like one of the only Pokemon with like Ice and Flying as a typing. Oh no, I misclicked. Let's go ahead and I don't want to switch to another Pokemon, so I'm gonna just keep using Dynamic Punch here, I guess. We could also use Zap Cannon and try to get through this fortress that way. But I think that Zap Cannon is going to be not very effective against it because I'm pretty sure Bug resists electric. But this should still paralyze it, which is still valuable. Ooh, that did a lot more damage than I thought. I guess Bug doesn't get resisted by... I guess Bug doesn't resist electric. For some reason I thought it did. But yeah, that was a pretty solid use of Zap Cannon there. And so yeah, Articuno is just a very interesting Pokemon in that it kind of soft counters the whole 1-hit KO thing. You can give Articuno Wonder Guard and that way it just like, you know... Oh wait, oh, for some reason I thought Skarmory had Sturdy. But yeah, Articuno is a very interesting Pokemon and also like things like Guillotine and Horn Drill aren't good against like ghost types. So the No Guard Sheer Cold strategy, obviously a very good strategy, but doesn't work all the time. All right, moving on to opponent number 6. Shuckle, okay. Well, this thing has Sturdy too, doesn't it? I don't remember if this thing has Sturdy. I guess we'll find out. Oh, yeah, it does have Sturdy, okay. Toxic. Ooh. Let's put this thing into confusion. This Shuckle might actually stop us from soloing this entire mission. Because Toxic puts us on a clock. Let's hope we can get there. Yeah, this is a clock for sure. Let's go ahead and use Zap Cannon. I hope we can survive. The problem is Shuckle is like one of the best walls ever, right? And so it's a matter of like, are we actually going to lose to Shuckle? All because we used a 1-KO move to start just to see if it would, if it even had, because I don't really check these things off camera. I kind of do things on the fly. But yeah, this is definitely annoying. I think we're about to get KO'd here from Shuckle. Okay. Well, at least it got paralyzed. Yeah, we are wow. We didn't get there, folks. Deoxys No Guard Sheer Cold does not pass the test. That is crazy. I guess we're gonna bring in Regigigas here. Wow, I can't believe Shuckle. Yeah, the thing is, I don't even think that even if we didn't use the 1-KO move to test to see if it had sturdy, I think we still would have lost. That's the crazy part about it. All right, let's use Sacred Fire. That should KO it. There we go. Probably could have used, I think we could have used Earthquake too, but I'm not sure if that had Levitate. Let's use Earthquake here. Get the easy KO. Regigigas turns out to be like the only Pokemon that can just solo the entire battle tower. Huge power Regigigas. Very, very interesting. But yeah, I really thought we were gonna solo the entire thing with No Guard Speed Deoxys, but I guess I was wrong. Let's go ahead and finish this off, shall we? Alright, Politoed in Gen 4 does not have Drizzle. That ability is exclusive to Kyogre until Gen 5. And there we go, 1-KO. Steelix. Okay, this thing definitely has sturdy. This is so annoying. We keep facing off against sturdy mons. Alright, well, at least we got it confused. Gyro Ball. Alright, well, that did... Whoa, that did a lot of damage. I guess we can use Dynamic Punch again. I don't like how bulky this thing is. Oh, and it snapped out of confusion? Wow. So, this is the second match where Deoxys-Speed loses. Tisk tisk. I guess we're just gonna have to use... Let's just go straight to Earthquake, because I know that Fake Out isn't gonna do anything. And also, it makes sense if you're going to do that if you have a Life Orb, because you don't want to take too much recoil. Not that it really matters here. Alright, let's go ahead and Extreme Speed. But yeah, 2 matches where Deoxys-Speed loses. It just goes to show you, like, the metagame in Battle Tower is, like, interesting and also very different from competitive 1v1 Smogon rules. Alright, well, there you have it, folks. That is the last match. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.